Hey everybody, welcome back to day 4 of 6th grade math online. I'm really excited you made it here today. I'm really excited because in 6th grade math today we are working on ordering rational numbers. A rational number is any number that is a positive whole number or their opposites, so all the negative whole numbers, any fraction, positive or negative, and any decimal, positive or negative. So today, one thing that you're going to do is take a list of numbers and be sorting them in order from least to greatest. Really excited to dive in. Go ahead and make sure that you are in a space where you can stay focused on your class and make sure that you are distraction free as much as possible. You need a paper and a pencil. Let's go ahead and label our notes. This is Unit 7, Lesson 4, ordering. That means put in order, like order on a number line. Ordering rational numbers. All right, and then today's lesson, today is April 2nd, 2020. Happy Thursday. All right, so what we're gonna do to get started, I'm actually gonna give you a do now and I want you to try it on your own. I am going to give you a set of numbers, okay? A set of numbers here. Your job is to order them from least to greatest, okay? So least to greatest is the same order that a number line is. So if you can imagine taking all of these numbers, which are right now scrambled up, and putting them in order, like on a number line, that is your job. You'll notice that these are all rational numbers. I see some that are fractions, improper, as well as mixed numbers. I see a proper fraction here. I see a lot of positive integers, and I even see some decimal numbers. Okay. So what you're going to do is order those positive rational numbers from least to greatest. I'm going to go ahead and set a timer. And while we are working, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video so that I can put my work on the whiteboard. But you should have plenty of space on your paper to get started. Okay, see if I can get all of this up. All right, you look good to go. All right, you have about 5 minutes on the clock to put these numbers in order from least to greatest. Make sure you give yourself a lot of space in case you find a number that you need to put in between two numbers. Go ahead. All right, folks, we are back. If you need a little bit of extra time, that's okay. Please take it. But I want to go ahead and you can just pause if you need a little bit of extra time. But I want to go ahead and review for those of us who are ready to go. Okay. So the instruction was to order this set of numbers from least to greatest. I did that up on my board, and I'm going to go ahead and share with you some of the things I was thinking. First is I notice these are all positive rational numbers. So when I'm looking at these, actually there's 0 in this set too, which isn't technically a positive number, I suppose. So 0 is the smallest number, it's the least number, it should start your list. Okay. The greatest number in this set was 100. So I didn't have enough space to write them all in one line. I bet you didn't either. But I did, it does go in order, line 1, line 2, line 3. Okay. Couple of things, you're really good at ordering counting numbers. We're not going to review that. I want to just focus in on a few key parts, okay? One is find the number 1/4 in your list. Okay. 1/4 is a number that's between 0 and 1. It's greater than 0, but it's less than 1. So that's where it belongs in my list, right between 0 and 1. Find the number 9/8 in your list. 9/8, this looks too small. I'm going to rewrite it a little bit bigger. 9/8 is an improper fraction because the numerator is bigger than the denominator. How many 8s are there? How many groups of 8 are there in 9? There's one complete group of 8 in 9, and then there's 1/8 left over. So 9/8 is 1 and 1/8. When I'm ordering that, I like to think about it as a mixed number because I can really easily tell that 1 and 1/8 is a little bit bigger than 1. It's between 1 and 2. So 9/8 belongs between 1 and 2. Okay. Find on your list 8/3. Can you go ahead and make 8/3 into a mixed number the same way we did with 9/8? So what is 8/3 as a mixed number? I'm asking myself, how many groups of 3 are there in 8? 3, 6. There are 2 groups of 3. And then there are 2/3 left over. So 2 and 2/3. 8/3 is equal to 2 and 2/3. So I know it's going to be above 2, but below 3. Okay. So I put it right here. It's also bigger than 2 and 5/10. I thought about 2, you can think about it a lot of ways, but I thought about 2 and 2/3 as also being equal to 2.6 repeating. 2.6 repeating is definitely bigger than 2.5. Okay. All right, I think the rest of those are good to go. We're not going to review, but feel free to pause the video now and make sure you have your answers recorded. I'll be sure to upload the notes so you have them as an attachment in the post as well. Okay, and here's the fun part. Take a look at this second set of numbers. It says add these to the correct places in the ordered set. Ooh, I see all of these rational numbers are negative. Wow. So what you're going to do, keep your list the way that it is. Now you're going to add in these numbers in your list, still in order from least to greatest. So maybe start by finding what is the least number that you see on this list. Remember, that's the one that's farthest to the left on the number line. So think about these on the number line, pick the one that's the least, start with that one, and start ordering through your set. Okay. I'll do this as well. Go ahead and get started. I'm going to put 5 minutes back on the clock. Go ahead. All right, folks, we are back. How did it go? I hope well. Maybe you found it to be a challenge. I did, but also one that I thought was kind of fun. So there are a few that I want to point out to you. My answers are here on my board. If you're having trouble seeing them, if you're showing this, viewing this video on a small screen, I'll show you a bigger version in just a second. Hang tight, okay? What I did, these are my first 3 lines. I didn't change those at all, but I knew all of the negative numbers come before on the number line. They are smaller. So I started up with the smallest number in that list is negative 23. That is 23 spaces away from 0, whereas negative 1 is only 1 space away from 0. So negative 23 is farther negative, it's less. If you're visualizing a number line, that's going to be the one that's all the way on the left. Okay. Then I have negative 22 and a half. Did you get that? Awesome. And then negative 22. Pay careful attention to these fraction and mixed number ones. So negative 22 and a half. Pay really careful attention. Positive 22 and a half comes between 22 and 23. So negative 22 and a half will come between negative 23 and negative 22. Okay. Also look at, let's see, find, please, negative 2.5. Okay. I just want to show you the reasoning and get some thinking recorded on our paper. So go ahead and grab your pencil. Team, you don't need to copy this part down. That's just some thinking I had to do on my own to convert those improper fractions into mixed numbers. Okay, but I do want to show you, what did I say, negative 2.5. Let's go ahead and draw a quick number line. Please put 0 on the number line. If I am thinking about the value of negative 2.5, I'm thinking, what 2 integers does it fall between? What 2 counting numbers, but negative, does it fall between? So I'm thinking negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. I'm going to go ahead and put those 3 numbers on the number line. And then the question is, where does this one go? I always think about this number is in its positive version, it's opposite. So I think about positive 2.5. Where would positive 2.5 go? Would it go between 1 and 2 or between 2 and 3? It would go between 2 and 3, right? 2.5 is a little more than, or is actually half more than 2. So negative 2.5 is going to be between negative 2 and 3. It's a little more, it's a little farther away from 0 than negative 2 is. Okay. Here is negative 2.5. So when I'm putting it in order back to my list, my negative 2.5 goes after negative 3 because it's a little bigger than negative 3 and it's a little less than negative 2. So it goes in between those 2 values. Okay. Please find negative 9/8 on your list. Remember that 9/8 is equal to 1 and 1/8. So I thought negative 9/8 would be equal to negative 1 and 1/8. Okay, so that means what 2 integers does it fall between? Let's draw a quick number line. If I want to think about negative 9/8, I'm going to go ahead and think, okay, here's 0, here's negative 1, here's negative 2. The question is, where does negative 9/8 fall? I know that negative 9/8 is equal to negative 1 and 1/8. Positive 1 and 1/8 falls between 1 and 2. So negative 1 and 1/8 will fall between negative 1 and negative 2. It'll be about here, right? Negative 1 and then only 1/8 more negative. It's pretty close to that negative 1. So there's negative 9/8. Sweet. All right, let's zoom in on our answers so that you can make sure you've got it. You'll have to let me know how you liked the whiteboard, if you liked it or didn't like it. I definitely don't want to make it hard for you to see, but I thought in this case it might be helpful to put it on the whiteboard. You just leave me a comment, let me know. All right, here is the list, same one I have on the board, of all of the values in order from least to greatest. So right now, if you were not able to get them all on your own, go ahead and pause, or if you couldn't see this, go ahead and pause the video and make sure you understand this order. If you are ready, let's go ahead and move on and record some of our thinking, okay? All right. So one thing that I want to emphasize, you probably just have a list of numbers here and a couple of number lines. So let's kind of formalize our thinking. When I say formalize, I mean let's kind of put it in a way that will make sense later when we're not doing this question anymore. So I'm just going to put a star in my notes. When ordering numbers from least to greatest, use a number line. I cannot tell you enough how you're going to use number lines so much in the rest of 6th grade and so much in 7th grade to help you answer these kinds of questions and start to do more complex operations with these sorts of numbers. Really exciting. Okay, folks, let's move on. This will be our last task of class today. We are going to now compare these points on a line. So these points you'll notice are labeled with variables, not numbers. That's okay. They are where they are in the number line still represents their value. Okay. Number 1 says use each of the following terms at least once to describe or compare the values of points M, N, P, R. Okay, we need to use the terms greater than, less than, opposite of or opposites, and negative number. Okay, so the way your answer should look, go ahead and put a number 1 on your paper. Your answer should be probably at least 4 sentences long, probably 1 sentence for each of these terms. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. I don't want you to use this one, but I'm going to give you an example. The value of N is greater than the value of M. Okay, that's 1 sentence I could write in my answer that uses this term. Then I'm going to keep thinking and adding more sentences with these other terms, comparing any of these values that I like. Okay, so I'm going to get a timer up here. Let's say 3 minutes. We're doing 4 sentences. Let's do 4 minutes. Okay, 4 minutes to write those 4 sentences. Go ahead and get started. About 2 minutes remaining. Go ahead and underline the terms that you're using when you finish writing a sentence. If you finish early, go ahead and add another sentence using one of the terms. 1 minute remaining. Okay, there's our time. Here's what I was thinking. There are, by the way, many correct answers. So you may have not picked the same answer as I did, and that is totally okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. Oops. Okay. All right, here are my thoughts. Number 1, the value of P is greater than the value of M. If you didn't say those exact pairs, that's okay. If the one you said at first is to the right of the one you said second in a sentence like this, then you are good to go. That is correct. So in this case, P is greater than M, P is also greater than N, but P is not greater than R. Okay. My second sentence, the value of P is less than the value of R. That's because P is farther to the left. Oops, you are left. And my third sentence, M and P are opposites. This is really the only answer. You could have said M is the opposite of P or P is the opposite of M. But in order to figure this out, I counted spaces away. So I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the value of P might be 5. And then I counted -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. The value of M might be -5. Because they are the same distance from 0, we say they are opposites. Opposite numbers are the same distance from 0. So M and P are opposite numbers. Okay. And then my last thought, both M and N are negative numbers. You could have said N is negative. It's probably -2, although it's a little bit unclear what we're counting by. All right, folks, that's it. Let's go ahead and review our lesson summary. Here we are. All right, today was lesson 4. Our job was to order rational numbers. We did that a lot today. To order rational numbers from least to greatest, we list them in the order they appear on the number line from left to right. For example, we can see that the numbers -2 and 7/10, -1 and 3/10, 0 and 8/10 are listed from least to greatest because of the order they appear on the number line. So I see that the number that was listed first is here on the far left of the number line, then this one, then this one. So the number line is really where we start. Okay. All right, folks, that's it for me. A couple of reminders for you before we are all set. One is please post a 1 to 2 sentence lesson summary. I love reading them in the comments on this post in Google Classroom, and let me know what you thought about the whiteboard as well. Then you have an independent practice assignment to complete that's also linked in Google Classroom. It is due at 10 p.m. tonight, April 2nd. When you have finished those 2 things, most of you are doing a really good job of marking turn in on Google Classroom. If you haven't been doing that, go ahead and start clicking. When you're done with everything, click mark as turn in. And then Mr. Zamora and I can review your work even faster, so you can get your grade back and your feedback back even faster. Okay. If you don't turn it in, it's hard for us to see it and to grade it. So go ahead and click turn in. That just alerts us that you're ready to have it handed in. If you'd like some help on your practice assignment today, please go to office hours with Mr. Zamora from 3:15 to 4:15. And then please remember to check Google Classroom tomorrow morning around 10 o'clock to see if you are invited to reteach, which will be at 10:45. Okay, it's really good to be with you all. Tomorrow, also, before I let you go, tomorrow we're going to be just doing what would normally be like your exit tickets. It'll be a quiz at the end of the week. So quiz tomorrow on everything you've learned this week. So make sure before you are done with class for the day today that all of your notes are organized and in the same place in your accordion folder or in a binder or a folder or a notebook so that you can have them and access them while you take your quiz tomorrow. Okay, so if you need to spend a little bit of time organizing, please do that now. Okay, good to be with you. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. See you tomorrow.